Thank you so much. And admit one more friend. All right. So I do want to talk a little bit about why we are here and some of our collaborations. Thank you so much for joining us at the Literary Salons for Teaching Artists Unveiling the Art of Publication. This is our second salon, and we are so excited to be partnering with ITAC. If you are unfamiliar with ITAC, we are actually part of the ITAC US Hub. So I'm going to add a link into the chat so you can see you can hear a little bit more about what ITAC is, and just share our mission statement of ITAC. We have Jeannie Taylor, who's also present here, which is amazing. A little wave, Jean. And Pablo has also been able to update our page so that we can highlight the literary salons present here. So the United States Hub is co-hosted by Teaching Artists Guild, a national organization by and for teaching artists, the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts, and it's an organization and civic center in New York City and home to teaching artists for over 40 years, and the Maui Arts and Cultural Center, MACC, the largest and oldest performing arts center located in Maui, Hawaii. TAG brings a vast network of teaching artists, resources, and tools, and in collaboration with these two other staples in different regions, it really highlights how teaching artists really have no borders, right? Even within the states. And what I love about ITAC is that it is a collaboration of teaching artists from different countries. We'll be able to hear from our speaker today, Marit, that is the co-founding director of ITAC Collaborative. Speaking of I want to make sure we can add people in. Speaking of our lead host for today, I would like to introduce and also share a bio of our presenter. So, Marit Ulvund is a co-founder of ITAC Collaborative, hailing from the picturesque fjords of Norway. As a wife, mother of four, soon-to-be grandmother, Marit embodies a rich tapestry of experiences. Her love for people, stories, travel, and art fuels her engagement with the world. Marit brings a wealth of expertise to her roles as a mentor in art production, a teaching artist, an international researcher, and a collaborative force. Her extensive education and diverse background, including living in 3 countries, contribute to her unique perspective. With a PhD in theater from the Norwegian University of Technology and Queensland University of Technology, Marit's academic journey underscores her commitment to excellence. Creativity, curiosity, cooperation, and a professional attitude define her approach, ensuring the success of ventures like the Salons Art Center. In Marit's world, every encounter is a story waiting to unfold, and every role she plays is an opportunity to infuse quality through wonder. Today, we are so honored to have Marit share her wealth of experience and passion for the arts. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. And I was thinking of adding something maybe about myself just to start with, so that you know, it sounds so much what you say, but then I'm getting old too. So that's why it's filled up with so many things. But I remember a long time ago, I think maybe I had started my PhD, or maybe I wanted to, I don't remember. But we're in a meeting at the University College where I'm at, and there was, they were talking about a research project for education. And then they were asking for people to be interested in that. They could, come and take part in the project. And afterwards of that meeting, one of the ladies come up to me and said, you know what? They're not interested in my subject at all, she said. And that she was in IT. She was in new media. This is a long time ago. So were they not interested in that for education? I said, no. And then I thought, because this was a professor, of course, asking, people inviting people, but choosing who was going to be in. And then I thought, well, this means that the professors, those are the ones that decide the questions. And the questions are what gets researched at. And that's the answers that we get is from them. And I thought, well, I just have to do research, because if not, I am not allowed to ask the questions that I find important. And that is the reason why I, continued my studies and went into the PhD and all that. So I'm a doer. I love doing. I love knitting and playing and acting and everything, and doing. But sometimes we need to do also the other stuff to get heard, to get seen, and to get things changed. So I want you to know that that's my background. That's where I'm at. But from that, I started, and it was hard, because I wanted to do eco theater, not research it. Anyway, I did do it, and I researched it, and then I wrote about it in my PhD. And the same here. I thought, the school are getting so much more boring, so much more testing, so much more evaluation, and so much more bored children. And if you want to change, you need to give them some food, to chew on, so that they understand that the art needs to be there if the growing up generation should last long enough to, live their lives in a good way, because they are really striving, many young people. Because in the schools, there's so much testing, at least in Norwegian schools, so much testing, so much things they need to do, and so little, what should I say, embodied work, learning through the senses, learning through the arts. So that is the background for the project. And now I'll share the PowerPoint. And it's lots of pictures, so not much writing, but I'll talk, and then that will say enough, I hope. So let's start from the beginning. So the project that I'll share most about is the Young Art and Future Skills project. And the undertitle is Promoting Future Skills to Student, Teacher, and Teaching Artist Collaboration. And before that, I would like to show you where I'm coming from. This is Norway. This is the coast. This is the area where I'm living in. And there are a bit more houses than this, but as you know a little bit about the area. And Norway is a very tiny little country, about the smallest state of US, maybe smaller, I'm not quite sure. 5.5 million people, same as New Zealand, where we are going next September. We have about 1.1 million children and young people, and 95% in public schools. So we are not a very, we have lots of nationalities, but we have most people children are in public schools. So it used to be we had some art disciplines, less and less of that too in the schools. Now there's so much other things they need to do. And then there was raising in the Storting, which is the parliament of Norway, for requesting more arts for children in the schools. And from then on to 2002, the cultural school bag has been a major part of the Norwegian schools. All schools, also public and private, get this program. The program is that quite a lot of money goes to sending professional artists into schools. Mostly it has been performances, concerts, more like 1 hour, 2 hour, half a day. That is changing a bit now because it's more, I'll talk more about that later. But that happened. And that is the background why I am leading a center called Seance Art Center. Because when that money suddenly came available, the artists were not prepared. They were not used to work for children. They were not used to be in all these different age groups and be into classrooms, and they didn't really know how to do it. So the county here where I'm at, the Volda University College and Seance, together with the county, we started Seance Art Center to help artists to be teaching artists and artists in the schools. So here's the new focus in the cultural school bag, which is called more on participation, more on inclusion. That's kind of the keywords right now. And that means that they want programs that are more long-term too, not only 45 minutes, 1 hour, things like that. but all art forms are included. And this meant that we suddenly had a big freelance market, with opportunities for artists to sell their art into the schools. And that's where Seance comes in. So since 2004, we have accepted 4 weeks a year. We have artists here working in their own productions, in their own rooms, but sharing food, sharing open stage to share their work, discussing all that kind of things. So that's the main reason why we started Seance. It is at a university college. And there comes in where I come from. I've been a theater teacher and also doing a theater PhD then, because I'm at the university college. So this is what a normal artist in residency looks like. All kinds of people together here, but working on different productions and with mentors. And all art forms are welcome. So here you can see it's a jazz orchestra, it's a clown in the classroom, it's a knitting lady. It's two girls that love their cars. So they're traveling around in Norwegian high schools telling their stories from their cars. All kinds of fun things happening. And here they meet, they work on their art, and they get mentoring, and they meet each other and share every evening. Every week, one evening, they share their stuff so that they can get response from everybody. Sometimes, like last year, this project came. It's based on Riades and Riades, and it's an outdoor project researching into how to cooperate with animals. So these are, horses in the area, and they were giving this ground to play with them. And it was amazing to see how these horses interacted with the artists in a wonderful way. They were so curious what would happen. That happened. They came after this man, dancer. And well, shouldn't say more about that, but very, very fun. So in 2018, we celebrated artist number 500. Now we've had 390 art productions so far at Seance, and 848 artists over the years. We also do some external assignments like mentoring for others and also facilitating art workshops, keynote and seminars. So we do have over the time, we have been also doing many cross-disciplinary art workshops. We love this, bringing different artists together, because we see that they thrive, they learn from each other in a way that they really prosper from. So then I wanted to, since during these years also I've been quite a lot in New York and been to many art institutions following teaching artist work, and also other places in work, not the least Scotland. I wanted to try out and support art programs that we also could research. So I have an article on this 5 coming in the 1st of March now in a Norwegian journal. And it was 5 art programs going into school long term. They were in the schools for 1 year or 3/4 of a year with the program. So then that's how it started before this Young Art project. And we have also had the teaching artist coursework 3 times. Now this faculty where I'm at, Seance is at, are starting a master next year. So then we will have more teaching artist courseworks in that master. So we will give it there. So here's Eric Boot is there, and then maybe you see some other people too. Yeah. So we also have a small art festival, children 0 to 6 years. That's every 3rd year. It's coming up now in September. It's lovely to meet all these small children. We cooperate. This is in Oslo, cooperating with the Opera House and different other cultural institutions in Oslo for the small art festivals. Conferences and webinars. Here you see Eric. I think Jean was in this one too. I think you were here somewhere, Jean. And also the Artistic Council of Seance is in this conference. The last thing we have kind of major new thing we have done is the webinars on gaming, because that was a new question I had. I have 4 children, so I've been into gaming myself with them, learning from that. But I thought we had to look into what is it with gaming that captivates so many young minds in so many hours. And it was really wonderful to have this big stars from the big games come and deliver their knowledge about how to make a good game and how they think and how they do it. So there is lots of things to learn from gaming, that's for sure. We had the second one was transfer. Oops, you can hear this one. These are gamers, professional ones from Norway. I just want to show you because it. Okay, I will stop it there. But I just wanted to show you that that is also something more like sport in a way when they compete. So I'll go to the next one. And then we had a cooperation with the Culture Tank, which is responsible for the cultural school bag on the third one. And we had, I don't know if you're gamers, but if you are gamers, you might know Brenda Romero, Maxime Durand, Miguel Angels. You may know them because these are particularly the one Brenda Romero, the half an hour PowerPoint that she made. Go into and look into it if you want to, because it's amazingly good. What our games are. That was her question, and she gives a wonderful answer. And it's still online, free. So go into Seance's website if you want to see. So that's how we try to develop, taking on into the new. Now I'm on to the second, before I go to the research project, and that is ITAC. What is ITAC? Well, it started here in 2009 with a conference on the Hurtigruten, the coastal ship that travel along Norway. And Anne Bamford from the Wow Factor, if you know that one, Eric Booth, Brad Haseman, and many others contributors on that one. And we had a wonderful conference on quality in arts education. What is quality in arts education? From that on, me and Eric started to talk about a word conference. And the next was a word conference in Oslo called, it wasn't called ITAC 1, it was called First International Teaching Artists Conference. The wonderful thing is that we had a venue that only took 120 participants and thought that was fine. But even before the due date of the applications, it was full. We had to stop even before the date. So, and we had lots of people we had to turn down, and we were, wow, this is really a need, among people. So this is the people that contributed. We had from Tate Modern, we had Anna Cutler. You see maybe people you know here. There are from Columbia, from Carnegie Hall, Sarah Johnson, Eric Booth. We had Grace from Tanzania. We had two from Norway. We had, it was a wonderful event already the first time. And the focus was on art workshops on stage or participatory for everybody, because I still think that doing is the most fun. So I think that I do not like to sit for hours to listen to people talk like I'm talking now. I can do 1 hour or maybe 2, but otherwise I like to do and learn through that and maybe talk a little afterwards. So that's why that was the focus. Already the second last day of ITAC 1, we talked about what's the next thing. And the conference speaker said we need to do it again. And luckily, Brad Haseman and the people at Queensland University of Technology took on the second ITAC. And, I close to them because Brad Haseman was my supervisor for my PhD. So that's how we know each other. That's why he came. So, and I've been there several times afterwards as a visiting scholar. So this is from the workshops and the seminars in ITAC 2. And in between, me and Jean developed this from ITAC 2, we developed Tag Exchange, where we exchanged teaching artists. So Jean came here and I sent another teaching artist to New York. That's something we would like to do more of, Jean, isn't it? Because that's such a big learning thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was wonderful. And so, Teaching Artists Guild, we weren't trying to take your same letters, but that's the Teaching Artist Global Exchange, Tag
Yeah,
Exchange. So
that was it stood for.
it
Yeah,
was so much
Teaching Artists
fun.
Global Exchange. Before we
Yeah.
knew of, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for correcting that. So, and then we came to Edinburgh to 2016. And again, there were wonderful workshops to attend to, throwing bricks, embroidery, building a hut or a cabin. And through that cooperation, we learn a lot from each other. Of course, there was also people speaking, but I love the pictures of the doing. We came to New York in 2018, and some of you were there with Carnegie Hall, Dreamer Arts Center, and Lincoln Center Education as the hosts. And do you want to say something, Jean, about your experience with hosting that one?
Well, I think it was one of the first ones and maybe the only ones that had a group of organizations that were hosting together. And so what was that coordination? But we really felt that each organization was trying to contribute what they could do best. And I felt it was building on what happened in Scotland, which was a very, they were saying, what is radical practice? And I think in New York, we were working, Sarah Johnson was so helpful. We were really thinking about artists or teaching artists as instigators. What's the instigator for change in classrooms, in communities, in society? So I think I started to really feel how we were building on each previous ITAC.
I agree. It was wonderful to be there and something with being together. And during that conference, the International Teaching Artists Collaborate was launched as an idea that later on came to what we know as ITAC today. And now there are several thousand members, which is not really members yet. Pablo knows more about that, but we will make a register soon so that we know more who they are and who is in it. And maybe you'll say more about that, Pablo. But anyway, it started then. And in 2022, it was so, and that had to be digital because of COVID. And it was a wonderful platform they made, really amazing. I never thought it could work like that. So even if I like being together, I saw that really could be an option. Even if that's not what we want to do every year, it was a wonderful conference. So the next one then, now we have traveled.
These graphics are amazing. It makes me think of a game.
So that was the last one. And Art as a Catalyst of Change was the theme. This is from the opening and from some of the things happening in that one. We were 260 participants and 36 countries, 60 parallel sessions. And we had, again, a wonderful time sharing art experiences. And here is it the New York, US, Hawaii tag hub that is having their sharing at the conference. So this is how this has grown, and I hope you find it interesting if you haven't been into any of this work before, because it is an amazing community to be part of. And as you see, it's really lively. This is the Korean dancers, and they really got us all going on the floor there before we ended the conference. There was wonderful dancers and a wonderful atmosphere. So Xiangxi Art Center supports quality and creativity in art production, develop and support art programs and artists in creative partnerships, international exchange, cooperation and network, and research. And now I'm coming to the research, and I hope this was glimpses that also inspired you to maybe look into more of the collaborative work. It is important, as I say, to research, because you need to speak to the policymakers too. That's the thing. You know, you can do very good things with a few people and you have a wonderful time, but to change systems, you need to speak to other people. And that is why I think we need to also go into the research in a way that we can make change in society. So right now we are started a new mentor program. So we have now a national program now first that we have inviting mentors. We want to educate more mentors for art productions, both for in schools, but also other productions. It's important that artists get mentor help sometimes to make the most of their artworks. We have another very lovely project called My Childhood, which is hopefully coming to US this year. And that is a project where we travel the continent. We have been in Brazil, we've been in Norway, we've been in New Zealand, and ask children for their stories, their movements, and also to tell about the thing that they love. So all this is filmed by a documentarist, and we hope to make a big documentary film in the end when we finished all the visits. But we also want to make a big performance based on the children's stories. So they tell about everything from not having a house to live in to losing something they like, or almost burning their toy in the oven. I mean, there's lots of stories they tell. There's lovely stories. And we also do a movement workshop with them. So we try to collect what kind of games do they do? This is from Brazil. How would they do some of the same things so that we can compare? But it's a way of researching childhood in the 2020s. That's the aim of this project. So this is from Norway and Brazil, these two pictures. So then we thought about the children in secondary schools. We have read several research reports talking about the future and what is needed for the future. And some of them highlight that in the future, you need skills that are easily found in working with the arts. And this project is based in that we think that, or we read and researchers think that the 21st century learners need a more future-oriented pedagogy and creative pedagogy, and that active in student engagement, digital competence, embodied and creative teacher strategies are needed in that pedagogy. That's what this is kind of what we start with from what we have read from research reports from both the future researchers and also for other researchers. So there's something called the 4 C's. That is creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. These 4 terms are found by many researchers as something that will be critical for the future workers. So you see these secondary schools kids on the right-hand side here. When they are going to get their first job, they will need that. That's what the future researchers tell us. That was what we started from, So if creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication are important skills for the future workers, that's what they need to have or learn in schools. And then we immediately thought that, well, of course, that is something that we think we in the arts are very good at. That's very important for us to have knowledge and skills in that directions. So we wanted to make effective art programs with aesthetic learning strategies and teacher and artist partnerships. We also wanted to have international benchmarking with innovative teaching and learning models to infuse the 21st skills in the curriculum. So it's kind of high aims we have, we want to change the world, of course. But I think we have to start with the big picture and then we have started a small part of that one with this first intervention that we have done. So the research methods we have used are literature inquiries. We read literature, of course. That's how we found the 4 C's. They are needed. Okay, let's look into them. And then we have had collaborative preparation with the artists that are involved. We have had meetings and discussions with them. We have had observation of art programs and workshops and student presentations when they've been ongoing. So I've been an observer of both art programs, being there in this classroom, being there outside when they walk for a tour, and here where they're taking pictures by the sea. We have done interviews with teachers and artists, all teachers and artists. And we have, in the end, after it's over, we have given everybody a questionnaire, and it's the same one. We're given the same one for the students and the teachers and the artists, which is interesting to see how they answer the questions. So how they experience to be part of that art program. The art programs were about 30 hours, and one were over 2 weeks, one were in one intensive week. The first one is called I'm Historic, and was performed in Trondheim in 2022. And it's a performer project on inheritance and identity. And the program were introduced in some fictional events, a series of short videos, and some surprising videos for the children. Suddenly something came in and they had to do something, and then they were asked to also bring with them from home a picture of a clothing, an old clothing of someone's jacket or someone, and tell the story about it. So they were choosing a thing that they brought with them to school and telling the story about it. And mixing these things, they made timelines where they hang up picture of the thing and the year combined with historical events. So maybe it could be like the First World War, the Second World War in one, and then there could be a jacket from a great grandfather next by it. So trying to linking the personal with the greater events in the world, that was part of the intention of this project. So here you see that they hang up this timeline where there were pictures of historical events, but also personal things. And at the same time, as you see to the right here, you see the 1910. That was, and then they've continued. So in this way, they collected small stories and made them personal in a way, connected the personal and historical. That was the aim of this one. And you see here, they played a lot too. So the other one is called My Nature. And this one was Are, as you know, Jean, and he's a very good photographer and documentarist. And this program had taking pictures on the close surroundings of the school. That was the main thing, to learn how to take good pictures and present them. So I want to show you here two stories. So in the end, all students made a picture story, and they had a chosen picture, and they had in the end a seance picture. And here is student A. The beautiful shore life. The chosen picture. One seance picture. The beautiful sea. I chose this picture because I think it is nice and I'm very happy with it. I like the way the small waves hit the rock and create a nice pattern. Picture story B, didn't B. Death. That makes life worth living. Harmony. They lived together, thrived together, died together. Why do we have to be different? Chosen picture. One seance picture. I like this picture the most because it was my first time capturing something small and making it look big and cool at the same time. So this is a young boy from Ukraine that made this one, as you maybe understand. So you have this from the very close and narrow perspective of the Norwegian living in the fjord, and then you have this one coming in and giving perspectives to the whole class. So these children in this photo project really they said they wanted to be interviewed because they had learned so much. So some of them we had to do an extra interview with 3 of them because they said, and they were full of praise over what they have learned, and they thought it was really useful too to know how to do good pictures. But overall, the young art and future skills findings, and this is the last things. So it was secondary schools, about 30 hours with the students, teacher and artist, teaching artist collaboration. And as I said, observation in class, video and pictures, interviews, teachers, survey, and of course, a registered project in the Norwegian database. The findings 1. The art programs did support the future skills, creativity, collaboration, and communication significantly. And we say that because both the students and the teachers and the artists all said so, you know, in their answers in the questionnaire. They found it to be, and they were not asked like, the questions were not like, do you think you, well, let me put it the other way. What we did is I did find many adjectives. So they had like 20 or 25 to choose between, where these 4 were in there. And what we saw was that they were chosen the most. That's why I say it's significant, because they had many choices that were similar, but they chose these ones. So that's nice. But critical thinking to some extent, not so much. And we wonder why. Maybe because they don't know, are sure about what that is, or maybe it's because they didn't learn that so much. So that's something we can look into next time we do it. Findings 2. The teacher and artist collaboration, teaching artist collaboration. The partnerships were really valued by both parties, but there seems to be a need for more time for collaboration. This both for the role clarification. Sometimes the teacher and the teaching artist were not quite sure about who was leading, who was going to do what, when, you know. So in one of them, the teacher didn't think he was going to have such a big role, and then he got a bigger role than was planned for because the teaching artist got insecure. That was also something that happened. So this need to a role clarification. And the development and implementation of the art programs in the school's work is also important to look into. How can this fit into something they need to know anyways? You know, how can it fit into the schools so that the teacher not think of it as, oh no, we have a teaching artist, so I can go and have a coffee. And that happens, and I don't know what it is. Because that happened a little bit with one of the teachers, that they think, oh, good for me, you know, because that's not what we wanted to be. We wanted to be really part of the important things. Yeah, I was finished with that one. And then the third one and the last, I think, the artist mentoring improved the students' artworks. We saw that particularly with very more time in the last one to work with one-on-one. There were much fewer students. They had more time with the artists, and they, as I said, they came and wanted to be interviewed because they had learned so much about photography, and felt that was so much needed in their life, and they would need it, and blah blah blah. So what we think is that there is more research needed to determine how various forms of partnerships and art program may be be successful, because and that could be with opportunities in scope, length, schedule, but also various forms of collaboration between teachers and artists. It seems to be some insecurity about how and what the role should be. So we made some suggestions in the end of the report that we wrote, and they are coming now as the last thing. So again, it's a little bit of what I've said. Clarification of expectations and roles when teaching art and teachers is essential for good cooperation. And that means, for instance, saying to the teacher, yes, I want you here. It's important that you are in the classroom with me. Don't leave. Don't go for coffee before the break. You know, it is essential, because if not, they cannot make use of what have been done after the artist is gone. So, but also because sometimes they're needed to help out with things. Artists in schools need mentoring in their role as teaching artists and how best contribute to student participation, artistic expression, and learning. And in this, I'm thinking also of that you need the teaching artists must be brave enough to teach them things, you know, not only let them play, but I mean, teach them skills, because then the students are so much more satisfied with themselves. They love being taught something and master it. So that is also something that it's not only play, but it is something that you learn. Yeah, and then the teacher must be an active part. The art program had different forms and lengths, and these two had like 1 to 2 week limit, but it could be it needs to be more research on different, you know, more intensive ones, but also more long-term ones. And the programs benefit from clear artistic as well as school-related goals. So if you can fit in both, you know, something that the school needs and something that the student as an artist needs, that will be the best, because then they feel they thrive. They must be challenged, the students. They don't want to be just have fun. They want also to be challenged to master new things. Yeah, and both these programs had a really clear link to the students' own lives. And that is a very good thing, I think, in our time, that they think of how does this, because they do so much in school that doesn't really link to themselves. It's more like, this is schoolwork and here am I. But this link to personal history and taking pictures, making choices for yourself and presenting one by one and so on. So that was important in that one. Okay. Yeah, I think that was
Woohoo!
long enough. I didn't, yeah.
Come off mic and give a round of applause. There are some really wonderful comments in the chat as well. Go ahead and stop sharing your screen, Marit, and I can ask one question and then also invite Pablo to join us just to talk a little bit about ITAC. So yes, round of applause.
Woo!
Incredible research, and I learned so much about how publication is so important for teaching artists, right? That we often have to write out lesson plans or emails or questionnaires, and that there can be some creativity within it. And how you explained that the way that you did the questionnaire was that you just didn't give the 4 samples, you gave a list of it and then pulled that research from it. And so I think that there is some skills in learning on how to create questionnaires and what is effective and what is not for research. Pablo, I'm going to invite you just to join us and share a little bit about ITAC, and then we will invite Marit back and do some questions and answers. So,
of course. Thank you so much, Carrie, and thank you so much for having me today. It's so good to be here. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about our next conference. Marit was mentioning that our last conference happened in Oslo, in Norway, in 2022. And the next one will be this year in September in Auckland, New Zealand. It will be hosted by our friends from the hub, the New Zealand hub, and the Center for Arts and Social Transformation. And the really important information is that the proposals, the proposals for submission are open now. The submission for proposals, sorry, and also the financial aid application for every teaching artist is also open, and the due date, I believe, is March the 1st. So yeah, I think is that you, Carrie? You're showing the website right now. I will share also some important links of the conference in the chat. for you to have. But yeah, it is right now open for everyone to participate, and it will be amazing to see you all in New Zealand this year. So yeah, that was a little bit about what I wanted to share today. Also, that ITAC, as Marit mentioned, it is trying to do its own research about the field, and we will have hopefully in the first quarter of the year we will have a platform that will allow us to understand more our field, to understand more our network. So yeah, I wanted to invite you also to be part of ITAC's network. I have one link here that is to subscribe to our newsletter. And by doing that, oh, it sent like a picture. Okay, so weird. Give me just 1 second.
Oh, we got it. I see them both in the
Yeah?
chat.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Super. So yeah, by doing that, you will be becoming an ITAC member. And yeah, that's a little bit of what I wanted to share today. Thank you so much.
Pablo. And if anybody has any questions, do you have an email address, or is there a conference email that people can send questions to about proposals, or just if they're unfamiliar with ITAC, who is the contact person? You can put that in the
Yeah,
chat.
so I could type my my email in the chat as well. If you have any questions, you can please send me a message, and I will be happy to help you with any doubt you have or question.
Thank
There it
you,
is.
Pablo. That's
Of
perfect.
course.
Awesome. All right, we are now at the end of our time, but as I said, I'm just going to end the recording now and bring back our speaker, Marit. Thank you so much again for being our second literary salon. I feel like we learned so much and about the work that you're doing, and publishing a report on teaching artistry is just so powerful, because then we can use that data, we can use that research to help advocate for arts education. So thank you for the work, the time and commitment that you put into that, and sharing it to our community at TAG. So thank you so much. Thank you.
If y'all have time,